Hey, what's going on, y'all? So this is an example of some of the situations we deal with out here. People wonder what is the stress that comes with trucking. Depends on your state of mind when you get into it, on how much the different things you encounter will affect you and how it will affect you. What is, oh, a squirrel with something in its mouth. I didn't know what that was. See him? I think he sees you too. Anyway, so here I'm sitting at this gate. Left the house early so that I can get loaded up early and get back to the house. But suppose you out on the road just getting it, man, and you trying to make it count. Like even with this, it's Saturday, you know, and I got things to do later on today, as a matter of fact. So this particular house, we see the grass is growing up. See a car that's under the carport. It's been there obviously for a while. It's not terribly old, but you can tell it's been sitting. Now they might have other vehicles, but we don't know. But it's strange that they don't cut the grass a little bit. Take the picture. But suppose I had children and I had a game to get to, or whatever, a rehearsal or whatever. And the only reason I took this load was because they told me that I could get loaded at 8 o'clock. And then I knew I was going right back to the house, can park the truck, go handle my business. But now we're dealing with this. It says receiving 8 to 5. Quarter after right now. What are they doing over here? $8:30. Is it 8:30 yet? Can't see the time, but it's got to be about 8:30 by now. And they supposed to start at 8 o'clock. So these things happen. So that's why trucking is not for everybody. I think you intellectually understand that trucking is not like a 9 to 5, but you need to be mindful of what that entails, the types of situations you'll potentially encounter. Because also, suppose this was a guy trying to get home, this is the load getting him home, and he's supposed to deal with, be with his wife or significant other, or if it's a woman on the road, be with her husband, or no matter what the gender, be with the spouse. Let's put it that way. I know some people just blow things all up and take offense when, even when the offense is not intended. That's a sad part of society today. And news that jump right on the bandwagon and blow it all out of proportion. And then the bandwagon continues and people just jump all on it, when anybody with common sense should be able to tell that what just occurred really had no intention behind it. But that's another I'm only saying that because I think it's important, again, for people to be aware and mindful of that, because these people are running around here stressed out and feeling some kind of way, because instead of thinking for themselves and analyzing situations for themselves, they let other people, in particular the news media and so-called leaders of certain organizations or whatever, don't matter. It could be left, right, it could be special interests or this, that, the other, but you letting these people think for you and give you a narrative, and then you just take their word for it and allow them to assign meaning to things that occur, instead of you stepping back, looking at the big picture and forming your own opinion using common sense and logic based on the big picture. People don't do that these days. They just run with whatever suits the purpose. What you don't understand is people are giving you a narrative to follow which suits their purpose, and too many people just jump on it, go with it like that's the gospel. Anyway, back to this situation of trucking, and I got a video that I'm working on because I just wanted to add some more stuff to it. I didn't realize that while talking about the good, the bad, the ugly in trucking and how it affects the relationship, I'm actually in the middle of an event that I'm describing. So I want to go back and highlight that to make sure people get it. Because otherwise, there's going to be some people that take offense at what I'm saying in the video. The video is about a post, one of many of the same type, in which a trucker wife is saying how bad trucking is for a job. So just realize that a lot of things that we allow to stress us out, I guess that what I was just talking about is related to what the video was about. Allowing yourself to be stressed. You got to manage stress, man. You got to manage stress. When you wonder why a lot of the things that are going on in society with the violence and everything, a lot of it is associated with stress. A lot of illnesses are associated with stress and inability to cope with stress and manage stress. And there's different stages to that. First of all, again, a lot of times we allow things to stress us that shouldn't stress us. So that's number one. So it's levels to that, because what you eat can affect your ability to manage stress. The amount of sleep you get can affect your ability to manage stress. Medication that you might be taking for something else could affect your ability to manage stress. So that's one level. And then you talk about mindset from jump, So level of personal development could affect your ability to manage stress. How you interpret situations, interpret life, you know what I'm saying? Making things bigger than they are. Seeing something, hearing something, someone says something to you, you take it in such a way that you offended, and it's unnecessary because they talk to anybody that way, or they didn't even mean it the way you took it. Maybe they could have said it differently, maybe they could have done things differently, but if you look at the big picture, more than likely this person is just lacking in their own area of personal development, of communication, or was under pressure, or just poor in communication and didn't mean anything personally by what was said, but that's just how it went down. It's no big deal, but people make it a big deal. And maybe the car break down on the way to the house, ran over something in the road in the car. I'm in the car, and I got a flat tire, so I'm waiting on AAA. Which brings me to the subject matter of this video. I know some of y'all have significant others at home who have to deal with a less than dependable car. And as a matter of fact, it might not even be anything wrong with the car. She just might be uncomfortable having to drive around in the middle of the night, or driving the car and you being gone. You might want to get AAA. Get AAA, and then that leaves the woman with some sense of security. So she knows that she won't end up stranded on the side of the road with no one to call. AAA, and she good. And so even though you're not at home, you could help provide some sense of security. And that, lets her know that you're thinking about her, you're thinking ahead, you're doing what you can to look out for her, even though you're not there. Might get you some roses or something when you get home. Some extra credit right there. That's some emotional deposits in the relationship right there. But it's just something that I think is a good idea to do. Show that you're considerate, you're kind, and you're thinking about your significant other, man. I don't have a flashlight, man. It's in the truck, so I can't even change the tire. But that's what I got AAA for. Look, see this hose right here?
How you like that?
Is that something that you would proactively replace?
I would, because it's dry right there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
But
now, most people who bring a truck in and they see something like that, would they have you replace it, or they gonna wait till it busts?
No, they wait till it busts. And if I replace it and they see it on the bill, well, what in the world did you replace that for? There wasn't nothing wrong with the one that was on it. I didn't see a leak nowhere.
And so that is kind of an analogy for what we were saying about society right now.
Yeah, I would say so. But that's
because how hard is it to understand that?
None, if you've got any understanding of anything mechanical at all.
You don't even have to understand mechanical. If this is a sign of excessive
deterioration.
And so it's hard for you to understand that it's going to cost you what, $20-$30 for me to replace it now. This thing busting, you out on the road, you don't know what situation you're going to be in then. And you rather save that $20-$30 additional to whatever you're getting done.
Well, that's what the purpose of a PM is. You fix stuff when you see that it's wrong, so you can try to prevent road failures.
Hey, you in the middle of looking for a job, switching jobs. Now you're stressed because what am I going to do? Don't have the money maybe to get it fixed. What am I going to do? Well, there's no need of sitting there worrying. I mean, yeah, temporarily it might get to you, but you got to jump out of that real quick and go to brainstorming on what you're going to do. What skills do you have? What other ways that you can make money? We got Google now. Google different ways to make money. You can buy ponderosa pine from the hardware store. Get instructions on how to create little crafts with it. Tarnish it, sell it. You know what I'm saying? So many little things you could do. I play ping pong. I could print flyers for people interested in learning how to play ping pong, offer coaching services. What skill do you have? What background do you have? Software, word processing. You know what I'm saying? So when people don't go down that path using creativity and their mind, instead they go to worrying. And then other things, people might be worried about, I hear the conversation every now and then, autonomous trucks. Why it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen next year. It's not going to happen in 5 years, in my opinion. Probably won't happen in 10 years. And it ain't going to be wholesale. It's just going to be special application. So, but the point is, why are you stressed about that? When you're sitting up here and been sitting up here watching the development of it, what you been doing to prepare yourself to be able to do something different. How much money are you putting away? What are you doing in your free time other than stressing? You see what I'm saying? Another aspect of stress in trucking. A lot of people come in. I probably should have started with this first because it's the thing that's going to be most common in the largest number of people. A lot of people get into this looking from an advertisement or something, and you might be told how much you're going to get paid. I got to be still because the brightness is going up and down. And you're told you're going to make 40,000, 50,000. You go to a free program, especially where this is at, find out you're really going to make about 30,000. They also told you when you're sitting home with your significant other, you say, well, I want to turn this off. Ain't nothing happening. You also told them that you want to drive, but only if you can be home on the weekends. They say, yeah, we got weekend jobs. You go out there to training, you find out that you're going to be gone for 5 weeks, and then you may or may not come home right after training. Or you might go straight out with the trainer for another month or something like that. And then they tell you after that, you're going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks at a time, maybe 4 weeks at a time, and then come home. So it's totally different than what you were told when you're sitting there with your significant other. You call back to the house. Hey, I'm going to be gone for longer than what I thought. You know, if y'all have relationship problems, it's worse now. And if you didn't have problems, now it's possible you do, depending on how you've been handling yourself. You know, how depending on the state of the relationship prior to this. If there's trust issues, it's worse. But that's the entry point. That's starting off. Then you learn later, because you won't learn right then. You'll learn later that you're not going to get as many miles as you thought, or the pay rate wasn't what they promised you. Maybe it will be after 6 months or something. But at the end of the day, you're not going to get 50,000 that first year. You're going to get more like 30,000 the first year, maybe, if you went through the free program. Maybe you get 35,000, you know, but it's not 50,000. And so that's different. And they're sending you places that you don't like and you don't want to go, and you're not comfortable yet, and you're locked in. So all of these things, I'm going to a place where I'm explaining in the other video now. But anyway, the point is, you know, how do you internalize all this stuff that occurs, you know? So these are the different things that could stress you in trucking. And it's just something to be mindful of, be aware of, before you decide to become a trucker, so you can decide on if you want to go ahead and do that. And then also, so that when you become a trucker, you have already processed all this stuff. You're not just being exposed to it in real time. You already been warned about it and had a chance to prepare yourself mentally on how you're going to deal with it. And how do you deal with it? This stuff is temporary. As far as the scheduling and all that, and being locked in, that's a year contract that you got to do for getting the free training. And as far as the salary, it's unfortunate you was lied to and everything, but after that year, you can get 50,000 very easily. If they won't pay you where you are, you can go to another trucking company that will pay you that 50,000 or more. And then also you can specialize. You know, if you're doing dry van, you know, you can go tanker or flatbed, and you're going to get paid more. And then after that year, if what they tell you or what you find you can make is not enough, or in order to make what you want, you got to be gone for extended periods of time. What I always tell people is during that year, learn all you can about trucking. After that year, if the pay raise is not enough, then get your own truck. And you'll have more flexibility with your scheduling, and you can make about the same amount of money, well, you know, good money. While you still got the truck payments and everything, and taking into account some of the maintenance you're going to have to do, comes with owning a truck. That's another element of stress for people who are not mentally prepared and not for that aspect of it. Then you're going to make about the same as you can as an experienced driver. And then if you specialize, you'll make more. And then after the truck is paid for, then you'll make even more. But again, remember, we're talking about making the same and making more, but not spending as much time. So you can be home more with the family. So the first year, the stuff that you experience during the first year is just temporary. But if you sit up there and allow it to overstress you and hating your life because of what it is, as if it's the rest of your life, you see what I'm saying? That's improper. That's improper perspective. You're allowing that. Now you're feeding yourself a false narrative. That is your reality today, and even then, depending on how bad it is, sometimes you can change that. You know, if you got safety issues and stuff like that, that's going above and beyond just being disappointed with the situation, but you're in an actual unsafe situation, there's things you can do. You got whistleblower programs, and before, you know, and if you just can't get along with the dispatcher, you find out what the procedure is for changing your dispatchers and all that. But why did I start this video? Because I'm just sitting here. But yeah, so just quick little video, give you something to think about, and I'm gonna end it right there. Oh yeah, so you know, subscribe and everything if you want to see this other video that I'm working on. It's about relationships, basically. It's deeper than relationships. It's addressing a post that said trucking is the worst job ever.
Okay, well they're definitely going to load you today. I know that. They sent an email later last night. So let me see what they're doing now.
All right. Thank you.
All right, I'll get back to you. Thank you.
So there's no communication error. Maybe something came up keeping the guy from being here on time. Broker finally answered. So yeah, he said he spoke to the people last night, so they're definitely gonna load the truck. Hopefully something didn't happen to the guy, you know, he having issues. That would be unfortunate. So we just gonna relax now then, as long as everything cool. As long as everything cool and I know for sure it's a go, it's all good. Except for, you know, wasting time. I don't know if they paid attention after 2 hours or 3. Alright, good night. Let's go open up the gate. And they ain't got sense enough to wake me up. He says he told the broker yesterday. Now I don't know where the breakdown is, and I don't know where the lie is. Says he told the broker that he would load me at 1 o'clock. See, this is an example of not having control. See, you're in the middle. Now I'm on operate, but you're in the middle of this dilemma. He said he told the broker. Well, the broker told me yesterday, 8 o'clock. And you don't know where the breakdown is. And when I asked the broker about it, you know I already called the broker. He gonna say, nah, the dude didn't tell me that. See what I'm saying? So, a driver or a trucker who are going through these types of things on an ongoing basis, if he can let it get to him. And then, again, one incident or one aspect of trucking that he unsatisfied with, probably no big deal. But you combine that with not getting the pay that he expected, not being able to go home the way he wanted to, not enjoying the job, which he'd been under the impression was a walk in the park and fun. Sitting all day, you might have intellectually understood that obviously the drive, you're sitting, and in most cases going to be all day. But knowing that and actually doing that every day is not the same thing. So all of these things together, a person might become unhappy, next level, depressed. Now, something happens at home because, don't forget, in many cases, the trucker was sitting there with the partner, talking to the broker, with the understanding that he would be able to come home every weekend. And so the spouse was okay with it. But now he or she calling home saying, I'll be gone for weeks at a time. So now the communication with them might not be so happy. There's remorse, regret, discontent. I'm saying these things. So all of these things, now the guy feels less of a man. And it's not the money there. So now don't let the woman or the spouse at home be a spender. And especially anticipating the increase in salary. And maybe the guy or the trucker doesn't want to come clean about what he's learned, or he still don't know yet. But after a month in, 2 months in, the money not as good. It's all of these things, man. And a lot of people got money management issues, so could be spending, even though not earning what expected. So all of these things create pressure on mental stability. And then, what is the escape? Well, we ain't even talked about, since the person at home is now resentful and unhappy, many cases don't want to talk to the person on the road in the middle of the night, trying to stay up, trying to talk to them. And the communication might be problematic anyway because of so many issues. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, so now the trucker is seeking ways to be lost from reality, or feel better about him or herself. So all it takes is a waitress, anybody that he meets. Oh, well, I keep forgetting, online. A lot of wives are saying that they are finding out that the guy spends a lot of time online dating sites. And so the reasoning is, I'm looking for someone to talk to, just pass time by in the middle of the night when I'm driving, keep me woke, blah, 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 blah. And it may very well be innocent at first. Could be sinister. But it may very well be innocent at first. But this is not good. It's not smart. With all of these things going on and dissatisfaction, even including at home or whatever, because you can't get along and you can't properly express what's happening, the reason you're not happy about the job. And, so now you are seeking something to build your self-esteem back up. And in your mind, it might be just communication. In their mind, it might be just for communication. But you're really looking for medication, some type of medication, self-medication for your state of mind. And it could begin as innocent as that. Very rarely does it end that way, because in many cases, I don't know, but I am sure that there are many women who are also seeking to exploit truckers. They believe that they're making plenty of money. They hear the negative stuff as well. They cheat, all of them cheat, this stuff, that, the other. So they figure this prime candidate. People already say that they cheat a lot, and they're making plenty of money. I ain't got to worry about him. And then some of them do want something, a real relationship. But some of them probably saying, just like look at the women on the block. Some of them are saying, I don't have to worry about him. I can do my thing and extract money from his paycheck just by playing a role, you know. So all of these things create the perfect storm. So you have to reverse engineer that. First of all, be supportive of the guy. Understand all of the stuff I just talked about. He probably won't be able to communicate that to you. He or she, whoever's on the road, won't be able to communicate it to you in that way, because that's part of the frustration. They can't see the big picture. I've been doing it a while. I see the big picture, and I talk to people all the time, so I know all of the little things. They might not even put 2 and 2 together. I haven't done the mathematics. The only thing they know is, man, I thought I was gonna love this. Actually, I hate it. That's it. I hate my life right now, you know. But they don't even say it right now. I hate my life. This is not what I expected. I want to get out, but I can't. I done quit my job. I done spent all this money. I done did it without the blessings of the spouse. I gotta make it work, or I gotta stick it out at least a while, or I messed up. And they don't even think about it if this is just temporary, because they're too stressed out, too frustrated. So I don't want to, you get the point, right? Oh, well, so like I said, so once you understand all that, now, you ain't going to flip no switch and fix him. But now having the insight on some of the things that he might be dealing with, causing him to make poor choices, stemming from a self-esteem issue, how can you do things in such a way to build him back up, to provide the support? You might be unhappy as well, I understand that, but it's not a simple issue. It's complex, a lot of complexities to it. So how can you be the type of person who helps him get out of all of that funk state of mind? Help him figure it out. Go forward. Support him. Talk through it. Be there to converse with him. You know, and as he become more of that type of man that he used to be, and realizing that this is temporary and I can learn all that I can and then escape this employer, and this situation is just a training, it's just the beginning stages, you can put it in proper perspective. And also that you're not the only one going through this. This is common among new people coming into trucking, especially with the free programs. It's the nature of that level, that method of entry. Then it's not taking personal as much either. And you know, it's just something to work through. This is the beginning stages. This is, unfortunate as it is, this is the paying the dues aspect. But it's not like this forever. After that year experience, I can go through many more things. But you can't start getting drunk every day, or start picking up drugs, or ignoring communication with the spouse, or getting involved in extracurricular activity outside the home to self-medicate, waiting for the time to pass. That ain't gonna work, because by the time to pass, you done destroyed your situation. Something wrong with you. You're fired, or getting in trouble, not showing up because you're hung over, getting locked up, or kicked out the truck because of the woman, lot lizard, or something. So the sooner this issue is addressed, the more successful the person or the spouse can be with the trucking lifestyle. All right. Try to find a reason not to pay the detention. That's the only reason I took the load. I figure I can get here at 8 o'clock and get up out of here.
All right, my man.
All right, thank you, man.
Safe trip to you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, so we made it back to the crib. It's 1:30. Should have been here hours ago. But that's how it goes in trucking, man. That's what I'm saying. You know, all these different moving parts. Never know how it's really gonna play out. And if you got a family, a relationship, and all that, kids especially, sometimes things don't go as planned and it can affect the situation at home. Like if that trip that I just had was a trip for me trying to get home and I was in Texas or something, obviously it would have throw me all off. That's it though. That's life as a trucker, man. It's important to be aware of that. Taking into account. Either you're specifically looking for houses to put into the system, or you're doing whatever you do when you're keeping your eyes open for houses, and when you find one, then you do what Steven is doing now, which is just looking at the app, finding your location in the app, and then click on the space at the location, the house over there, and then take a picture.